Do you struggle fitting big slabs inside of your planer?
Yeah.
Well, today I'm going to help you solve that problem with this simple flattening jig. Let's get started. Recently, I found myself with a lot of live edge stock, and instead of just letting it take up space, I want to turn it into some beautiful furniture. The jig that we're going to be making today can be used for a lot more items than just live edge, such as larger projects like cutting boards that wouldn't fit inside your planer. On top of that, this jig can even be converted into a track saw and other things. And if you want to see something like that, make sure to leave a comment down below and I'll definitely make a video. To begin, let's start with the long rails. These ones that I got are 78 inches long, but you can get any size that fits your shop or the slabs that you typically work on. Now these rails are CNC parts and they are labeled SBR16. Now these little sliders are labeled SBR16UU. Now if you're looking for these rails, you're going to see different numbers than just 16 after the SBR, and that accounts for the different thickness of the rail. The bigger the number, the thicker it's going to be. Now, as mentioned, I'm going to be using 16 because I think that's going to work for what I want, but if you are going to have a wider jig, I would probably recommend going a little bit bigger, and that's just to avoid any sagging that might happen on the top rails. We're going to start by looking for some 3/4 inch plywood that is a little bit longer than the current rails that I have. I'm going to line up the rail on the corner and a straight side of the piece of plywood that I pulled out, and I'm going to make it 4 inches wider and 6 inches longer. Now technically you can completely build this jig out of plywood, but for my sake I wanted to have that peace of mind of making sure that there wouldn't be any bowing or sagging. Another benefit of building it this way is it's going to be really easy to knock down and make it compact when storing. Now after we have the plywood all ripped down, we can go ahead and attach the long rails to that plywood using 3/4 inch wood screws. Just a heads up, my plywood pieces are going to be 2 inches shorter than what I was recommending, and that's only because this is the material that I had. Obviously that 2 extra inches does mean a lot to some people, so you know, keep that in mind. But it's up to you how you want to go about it, but just don't be worried about why mine looks shorter than what yours might look. The goal here is to have it even along the length and about 1 inch away from one of the sides of the plywood. So I have some scrap plywood here that is at least a little bit bigger than the rail itself. It doesn't have to be the same width. I just chose to cut it to the same width, but what I am going to do, I'm going to take a straight edge here. So I carried my mark onto the back side just so I know where to actually screw and I don't accidentally split my wood. And knowing where my line is, I'm going to countersink just beside it. For right now, I'm only going to be doing this on one side, and that's just to make sure it doesn't fall off. For the other side, of course it's good to have one, but for now, just having a stop on one side should be good enough. Now let's go ahead and get started on the cross rails. So the ones that I decided to go with are 39 inches, and they are also going to be SBR16. If you guys are going with a larger size rail, like the SBR20, you want the smaller sliders to be the same, as the bolt size may be different. On the top and sides of these sliders, there's these little Allen keys that you can adjust to change the stiffness, and now's the time to make sure they're moving smoothly before the top rails go in. Now to attach the top rails, we're going to be using an M5 bolt, and you're going to want to make sure that you set these up on the back holes, not on the front ones. This not only will avoid sagging, but also increase the amount of space you can flatten. Keep in mind, other size rails may require different size bolts. You can buy exactly how many you need, but I decided just to get an assortment pack. Okay, so this next part, you guys aren't going to really see because, up correctly, so I know that this is now my I've been doing at this for 2 days now, or technically this is day 2, but I have got this all set up. So I was trying many times to get this to work, and there's more over there. I tried cardboard templates, this and that. I ended up just using a ruler with millimeters. I made a center line and I measured and marked all the different holes, and it worked well. So Apparently you should just go back to the good old days where you just use a little metal ruler. And I ended up cutting these 2 inches and 1/8 wide and about 13 inches long. And I also left about a 1/2 inch in from both ends, and that's to allow for a stopper that we're gonna be building. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the sides prepped. I'm marking the center so I can line them up and have it nicely centered. And I'm going to be making it about 2 inches wide and then still leaving it that 1/2 inch less on the length. For the base of the router sled, we're gonna be using 3/4 inch plywood, cut to basically fit underneath those 2 side panels we just installed. And I'm making sure to pre-drill all the holes prior to installing the screws just to make sure that we don't accidentally split any of the plywood. Okay, so I went ahead and removed this guy, just had some screws on there. This is the bottom of my router. So I'm gonna position this guy kind of where I want it. Keep in mind, like for mine, I have these handles, and when it plunges, these handles go down, so I have to have it on a vertical angle. So what I'm gonna do is just lift the router. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Come on. Okay. On my router, there's 3 holes that I can screw into. You may have more, you may have less. I'm not too sure. Mark the 3 holes. I'm going to be using a drill bit that is a little bit bigger than the threads that I currently have. Perfect. Now I took it out and flipped it over, and what I'm going to be doing here is just using a countersink bit because I don't want it to be past here because it could interfere with the actual slab when I'm flattening. So these are nicely tucked in. Now we can go ahead and try it out. If you guys have been enjoying the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like it and also subscribe if you want to see more. I'm trying to hit my goal of getting monetized by the end of the year. And thank you so much for watching this far. So now that we have this on, let's go ahead and start marking where we're going to be drilling the hole for the router bit. Now the router bit that we're going to be using is 2 inches, but I want to also make sure that I have not only space for a larger size bit in the future, but also I want to make sure that if I'm a little bit off from being perfectly center, I don't run the risk of it hitting the sides of the plywood. So I'm going with a little bit bigger, actually a lot bigger, and this shouldn't be an issue as it will still work the same. Now when it comes to removing the disc, you could just use a screwdriver to help pop it off. But let me quickly show you the different options when it comes to the hole saws. The first option, which I definitely would recommend, is this one here where it screws on and then there's this little metal piece that locks in place, and it makes it much easier to remove after you're done. The second option just screws on without that little locking mechanism, but unfortunately it's common that the hole saw gets stuck on the bit. So what you can do is use a flathead screwdriver through little vent holes, and while holding the drill securely, you can use the screwdriver as leverage to help get it loosened, and it definitely helps a lot. So typically for slab flattening, you want to have a pretty big bit. This one is 2 inches and I picked it up from Amazon. I wouldn't say it's going to be the best bit I've ever had, but something good to start. Now when the router's on the other side, you get a lot of slack on the opposite side. So what we're going to be doing is making some braces that will go here to help support it so it stays nice and rigid. The only thing I'm going to mention is I was also trying to figure out the best way to add some sort of stop so that it can't fall off on either end. Now this will work as a stop instead of some of the other ideas I came up with, as the base plate will bump into this, not allowing it to come past. It does reduce the amount that you can route side to side, but if you really wanted to, you could technically just cut back your base plate and your sides here to make it so that it doesn't hit until, you know, wherever you want it to, or at least right up to the end. Now the other idea I had was adding a brace along here. This would allow it to stop and not come past. It doesn't fix the twisting and racking that can happen. So that's why I'm going with this route. I may come up with a better solution to allow me to still have that support but still come back further. I'll definitely make sure to let you guys know what option I ended up going with. Okay, so we have blocks on both sides. I did just do wood screws for now because the reason why I wanted the holes to be perfectly sized to fit a bolt is because I want to, in future, let the bolt go down, and then have a wing nut that tightens it on. That way, when it comes to dismantling and storing this, I can get it a lot more compressed and take up less space. And as you can see, it did a crazy good job. It feels very sturdy. It doesn't feel like it's racking at all. Like, this is solid, and I'm super happy with how that turned out. And then of course, as we mentioned, here's the stop, so it can't fall off on this side or on that side. Now let me show you one of the best parts about this jig, which is how compact it is once it's all knocked down. While I dismantle it, I wanted to let you guys know I do plan to make 2 more videos about this jig in the future. The first video I'm super excited to make. I'll be using this slab flattening jig to make my first ever slab furniture project, and on top of that there's going to be a bunch of first time experiences too. The other video will be after I've used the jig and I kind of get a feel for it. I'm going to be making some upgrades such as dust collection, better storage, and many other things. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see those videos, but in case you're watching this in the future and they have been already uploaded, I'll put them on screen now, and I'll also link them in the description. Thank you very much for watching.